been walking around feeling like you're behind, like you keep messing up basic life? Like everybody else got the manual and you got a pile of sticky notes and a nervous system that's always on fire. This episode is a moment we stop calling it failure and start calling it what it actually is. A real life, in real time, with real constraints. Today I'm giving you a real week episode. Wins, mess, meltdowns, micro-victories, and the tiny experiments I ran in parenting, our home systems, and communication with my husband, so I can keep living inside my life without constantly wanting to run away from it. Welcome to Grounded and in Full Color, my neurodivergent mom studio for soft life, overstimulation, and building a life that fits your brain. I'm Princess Ebony, a neurodivergent stay-at-home mom of 3, content creator, and your big sister on the internet. And this is not a highlight reel, this is a studio log for today. So let's get into what actually happened. Okay, quick note, I'm not diagnosing anyone, I'm sharing my lived experience here. What's been true in my home, my body, and my brain. And the tools that help me function with more softness and less self-hatred. By the end of this episode, you'll have a real week recap you can relate to. 3 micro experiments you can steal, 1 for parenting, 1 for home systems, and 1 for communication. What I'm keeping, tweaking, or tossing, and a tiny listener challenge you can run this week in your own home. Because the goal here isn't perfection. The goal is self-trust. This week, or this strong weather, we like to say strong instead of weak, I had a moment where I'm standing in the middle of the house. Noise in my ears, kids asking me for things, my nervous system buzzing, and my mind honestly going blank. And I can feel myself doing that thing where my body shuts down and my brain starts to run away from me. But instead of spiraling alone, I did one thing differently. I communicated early. Heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching, but I did it. Even before it was clear, even before it sounded polished. So my husband could actually support me before I hit the point of no return. And that right there, that changed an entire night for me. All right. Studio conditions is strong. High noise, high touch, low time, medium hoped up. If I had to rate my capacity baseline this past strong, I'd say I was around a 3 out of 10. I was doing so much and doing the most. Not 0, but definitely not thriving. And here's the studio rule I tried to live this strong. Communicate early and borrow support where I can. Because here's the reality. We do not have this big extended support system. Yes, we have beautiful relationships with other families, but they are one-off, real gemstones. We are not in one of those family ecosystems where you've got grandparents on call or in proximity, cousins around the corner who are also available at the same time as we are, friends from church, coworkers, school moms, PTA, none of that. We really had to start brainstorming ways on expanding our network as well as our net worth. But in the meantime, we've recently started getting involved in a community as a family that we are a part of, which we are extremely grateful for as well. But our day-to-day, moment-to-moment support, it's just mostly me, my husband, and our children. So I'm learning if I want a softer life, I can't keep trying to be a one-woman island. I have to borrow nervous system support where I can. And for me, my husband is one of those things. He is the biggest grounding resource that I have. Not because he's perfect, and not because we never miss each other, but because when I'm dysregulated, he can often hold a steadier baseline than I can. So the rule becomes, even if my words are messy, I will attempt communication, so he has a chance to step in. And let me tell you the wins from this strong. I'm going to say these out loud because neurodivergent moms rarely let wins count unless they're huge. Oh my goodness, I know. I'm guilty. And we're not doing that here. Okay, so win number 1. I finally caught myself before snapping at least once. Just the strong context of this strong. I didn't do it every time, but one time when I was in the kitchen and I literally felt the heat rising in me and in the kitchen, and instead of continuing to talk, I paused and said something so effective. Like, wow, I'm getting really overwhelmed here. I need to take a moment. Said it out loud, really. My toddler looked at me like a toddler does. So it wasn't pretty, but it was honest, and that counted. He actually said I did a good job. Win number 2. I kept one zone good enough for 24 hours. Remember that anchor room or that anchor surface from episode 4? I was working in my anchor surface, y'all. It wasn't spotless, not Pinterest, but it was safe enough for my nervous system. And when that one area is decent, my brain can stop panicking. And it did. Win number 3. I didn't isolate as hard as I normally do. And this one is a big deal for me. When I'm overwhelmed, my instinct is to retreat, shut down, stop talking, disappear mentally, and start planning ways on actually distancing myself from my family. But this week I practiced the opposite, communicating before I shut down. And I'm not saying I did it perfectly. I'm saying I tried it enough that I saw it working. Now the messy parts. Because if we only talk about wins, it becomes another performance. Moment number 1, the stack. You know the stack. The noise, touch, needs, clutter, timing, hunger, sleep. And someone asking you one more question, and your nervous system is like, excuse me, I am done. And this week I had a moment, I had a moment where I was trying to do something basic, like feed the family, clean up in the meantime, and respond to something. But then my brain just disappeared. My thoughts got fuzzy, my neck got tight, my shoulders knotted, my heart was pounding. The kitchen was already hot, and I could feel myself getting sharper. I mean, we had all just gotten up for the day. And it wasn't because I wanted to be mean, because my nervous system was redlining like a mug, and I didn't handle it perfectly. I got short, I got snappy, I got that tone. And that choice point came. I could spiral into shame and tell myself I'm a terrible mom, or I can move into repair. Which leads us into experiment number 1. Parenting. Repair first, not perfection. Hypothesis this week. If I repair faster, I'll reduce the shame spiral and reduce repeat moments. Because here's the truth. My children don't need a perfect mother. They need a repairable mom. So I practiced a 4-step repair loop. 1. Regulate first, even 10 seconds count. 2. Name what happened in simple language. 3. Apologize without dumping. And 4. Reconnect and reset. You'll remember this from episode 5. And I'm going to say this plainly. After I snap, my kids don't go silent. They cry. They get scared. Sometimes they even tell me, Mommy, you got frustrated. Mommy, you yelling. Mommy, don't be upset. And that pours guilt on me like gasoline to a flame. So the repair has to come quickly. And I mean quickly, before my shame turns into avoidance. And here's what I say. Mommy got frustrated. You're right, I apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. I just forgot to remember to take a deep breath. Then I get down on their eye level, make eye contact, and ask, do you want some space or do you want a hug? And if you can, I change the environment. Move rooms, play songs, switch the energy. Now what I learned is that repair doesn't erase the moment, but it does restore safety. So I keep the simple repair script. I tweak regulating before I'm at a 9 out of a 10, and I toss the waiting until I feel ready to repair. And that's what happened. We were in the kitchen. I was a little too curt with my son. He reflected back to me what was happening. I got down on this level. I apologized. And then, lo and behold, my husband already picked up on the moment and played our family dancing playlist. It was amazing. Experiment number 2. Home system containment reset. The hypothesis here is if I can contain the chaos for 10 minutes, my brain will stop screaming. Now, this is not a cleaning experiment. This is a nervous system experiment. So I did a 10-minute containment reset. Mirrored off a Pomodoro 25-minute time, short bursts, no marathons. The goal was not clean. The goal was reduce sensory threat. My tool was one container, one basket, one bin where I put the items that didn't belong in the room, which usually is my anchor surface, or like little bins we keep under the TV. Not a doom basket, but a containment bin. And that one move helps because it removes visual clutter fast. And my brain, visual clutter does not do well. It's like static. I also use the socks on trick. Most people do shoes on, but we don't do shoes on in our house because it shifts my body into action mode, doing socks on instead. And I'm going to tell you, this was a big part of my childhood too. I hated dishes because of wet food. I hated the carpet on my feet, much like I do now. I hated touching those things. I hated seeing it really. And I remember Adults, namely my dad, sorry dad, getting really frustrated with me because I didn't want to scrape food into the trash can or touch my feet on the ground. The sensory disgust is real, y'all. It's not drama and it's not laziness. It's just really real. So now I work with that. I set the goal lower. 10 minutes, contain, reset. Use whatever tools I have access to. And what I learned is when one anchor surface is decent, my brain stops panicking. Remember from episode 4? So I keep the 10-minute containment reset in that one bin. I tweak by doing it earlier in the day before I'm fried, and I toss catch-up cleaning at night when my nervous system is cooked. It's the instinct because I don't want to go to sleep with that environment, but I'm tweaking by doing it earlier in the day, y'all. Okay, experiment 3, relationships plus communication. This is where I borrow the nervous system myself. So the hypothesis here is if I communicate early, even messy, I prevent escalation and get support before shutdown. This is the biggest experiment of them all, the strong, because my default is I assume people should just know that I'm overwhelmed, sorry honey, or I stop talking because I'm tired of explaining. But my husband's nervous system often needs confirmation, a simple, I heard you, a simple, okay, yes dear. And for me, that can feel like too much input. As simple as those words are, they are. So instead of waiting until I'm sure, I tried saying it earlier. I was like, hey, I'm getting really overwhelmed, so I'm just going to take a few minutes. I'm going to go lay down because I don't feel too great right now. I'm just letting you know so you know what I'm up to. I'm not ignoring you or anything like that. Or, I love you so much, dear, but there's some very clear differences between us. I need a minute to reset so I don't, come off as harsh when I bring this to you. And what this does, it gives him context. It gives him a chance to step in. And it gives me a chance to borrow steadiness. To borrow the steadiness. What I learned was that early communication isn't about being perfect. It's about giving the people who love you a map. So I'm going to keep the states, the context, and the smallest, very next step. I'm going to tweak by using fewer words. 1 sentence, maybe 2. A little wiggle room is enough. I'm going to toss the silent shutdown without the context part. Ebony, toss it, toss it, toss it. Here's what stays in the studio altogether. We're going to keep repair scripts with our children. Remember that was episode 5. The 10-minute containment reset. That was episode 4. And early communication with my husband. That was episode 6. We're going to keep all those. We had enough to talk about them in detail. We're going to tweak doing the reset before meltdown territory. We're going to communicate when I'm at a 5 or 6 out of 10, not a whole 9 or 10 out of 10. And we're going to lower the bar even more on harder days. Okay, now let's get into what we're about to toss here. Quick mention, because you don't want to anchor it into our nervous system or our memory or anything like that. Okay, we're going to toss trying to catch up all in one night. If Santa can deliver presents in one night, doesn't mean I can deliver a whole nervous system calm to myself in one night either. Okay, we're gonna stop waiting until I'm actually calm to say something. We're gonna say it in the messy middle. And remember, some tips on how to communicate clearly without escalating, Ebony. And we're also going to stop treating my needs like an inconvenience. And the one non-negotiable rule for the coming strong and strongs after that is that I'm going to only schedule, especially things in my business, 2 things at a time, max. Because stuff always comes up, and then everything gets filled in. My creator flow brain just takes over with that. And here's the fun part, because this is all also content, whatever you do creatively, especially just for myself. Or maybe this is just me talking to myself right now. Because when I start thinking like a studio, I can start seeing my life as data. And maybe that can be the same and true for you, mama. Instead of I'm failing, it becomes that didn't work. What do I need to tweak? The mindset creates space for creativity and income because you're not stuck in shame. You're building in public, honestly, in a way that's vulnerable and opens space for connection that helps other women. Okay, here's your challenge for the next 3 days. Once a day, do this. 1, rate your nervous system 1 to 5. 2, name 1 micro win. Small does count here. 3, choose 1 experiment. Not all three, it's tempting. Just try one and maybe come back and try it again the next round. Parenting, home systems, communication. Fourthly, decide. Keep, tweak, toss. And if you want to share, DM me. One thing I thought was a flaw that I now realize is a pattern, and so on and so on. Let me know. I would love to hear. It's really, energizing and so exciting. I'm surprised this one opened up. A social media app that I used to dread. I'm working on it, but I'm also working on my visibility. And I can see that it's working, and you share with me. That's all. It's everything. Because I want you to feel less alone. And if this episode helped you feel seen, grounded, and again, less alone, follow the show so you don't miss what we're building over here in my little corner of the internet's Big Sister Radio. And if you can, leave a rating or review. Those honestly help more than both you and I think. Come connect with me on socials, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and X. I'm trying to see what works. Throwing some creative spaghetti at the wall here. And everything is linked in the show notes at the very, very, very bottom, like the footer bottom. And if you want deeper support, the Glow Board Club is my low-pressure space for brain-friendly tools, experiments, and gentle structure. And if you want direct support, you can inquire about my 1-week voice note support and reflection sanctuary. I'm not teaching from the mountaintop, y'all. I'm guiding from the trenches. And I'll catch you in the next one, where we could dig even deeper.